Hi everybody, TJ Mac Vintage Cards, and today I'm doing a profile on Pete Rose. I'm going to show off some of my base cards from 1964 to 1987. I have all of his cards of the regular issues, not leaders cards and all-star cards and things like that, from 64 to 87. The only one I don't have is the 63 Topps rookie, and as I've stated in other videos, it's a card I likely will never get. A lot of it's I just don't want to pay the money for a card that I'm not really that crazy about. If I was a huge Rose fan, I would certainly pay the money to get it in a mid-grade, but just I have other interests with my collecting budget, and I'm very satisfied with having just this run because this really captures the images of Pete Rose through the year, and you can see just how he changed as a player and just how Topps cards changed. And I just, I really like to do these types of spotlights on certain players that especially had the longevity of a guy like Rose, because you can see these types of changes. And we'll talk some about that, but before I get into that, I'm just going to talk a little bit about Pete Rose as the player and just my impressions of him. I watched the other day, just as in preparation for this video, the Sports Century on Pete Rose, and what was really nice in the opening, Chris Fowler says that Pete Rose, when he came up to baseball, the report card on him was he had poor grades across the board, no power, no speed, no throwing arm. And he played with such an uncommon fury that, sprinting to first base in every walk, and I remember that as a kid watching him, and it really led to his longevity, the 24 years, the 4,256 hits, and he showed him that really grades don't matter. When you apply yourself and you have that determination and that will to win, he came up, really as a cocky, skinny kid, and he really showed them. He took over that second base job in his rookie season for the Reds, and really his career just took off from there. And I was just, always impressed with his determination. I'm not really such a fan, per se, of cocky players and things like that, and I know he had his off-field issues. But Pete Rose, I don't think anybody would argue, is a player, is a guy that got every ounce out of his ability. And what's interesting about him is that when I played Little League, when I was a kid, and even when I coach today, Pete Rose is a guy that you think that you could maybe be like if you really applied yourself and worked hard. I mean, I don't think anybody really, if they thought about it, they're never going to be Mickey Mantle or Mike Trout or anything like that. We just don't have that kind of ability. But you think you could be maybe a Pete Rose, even though that's really not true, because Pete Rose had ability. He had to have had ability to hit curveballs and major league fastballs and just different pitches. I mean, so there's no doubt he had ability. He's just a guy that really applied himself in such a way that he got every ounce out of that ability. But as a player in Little League, or if you're coaching kids in Little League, I mean, he's a guy you can look up to. I know, young players don't really know who he is today, but I kind of try to capture his traits when I do coach kids about always hustling, being in the right position, not walking down on your walks, but actually jogging down, and then running as fast as you can on every hit. So it's just those types of traits that you can impart in kids that you really can get the maximum out of their ability if you do that. And that's really the lesson that I get from Pete Rose. The other things that he's done aside, I think everybody really can admire that trait about him. And of course, I don't really talk too much about statistics in my videos, but I'll just kind of cover a few of them real quick. Is that he had 4,256 hits, as we know, for his first all-time in games played as well, with 3,562. He has the most runs scored by a switch hitter with 2,165. Most doubles by a switch hitter with 746. Most singles all-time with 3,215. He won an MVP, of course, in 1973, a World Series MVP, 3 World Series championships, 2 Gold Gloves, and he was a 17-time All-Star, and I believe at 5 different positions. So that's really what I'm just going to say about his statistics. But what I really think is cool is how he got the name Charlie Hustle. There's a couple different accounts of that. It was said to be given to him by Whitey Ford during spring training, and the most common account of how he got the name was Whitey Ford saw him running down to first base on a walk, and he kind of said it as making fun of him, saying, "Oh, there goes Charlie Hustle," as he saw him running down there. And that was just a name that Pete Rose adopted, and even though it was said disparagingly, he took it really as a compliment to him in the way he played the game. Now, Mickey Mantle had said that Whitey Ford had actually called him that before when Mantle hit a home run in spring training, and Pete Rose ran to the wall, even though the ball was way past the wall or the fence, depending on the field they were at. Went way past it, and Rose still ran to try to make a play on it. And when Mantle came back to the dugout, he said, you know, that guy's a Charlie Hustle. You know, that's what Whitey Ford had said. So that's the other account of how that name came to be. So may have been both, might be true, just maybe depending on the timing and when it was said. But it was certainly attributed to Whitey Ford, that nickname. And of course, us that, you know, have some admiration for Pete Rose look at that as really a badge of honor when you're called Charlie Hustle, because it means that you're really moving and doing what you're supposed to be doing. So with that, now let's take a little closer look at these cards. So here we got the nice 64 Topps trophy card, and then you got 65 Topps and 66 right here. These are taken spring training images. These might have been actually taken at the same time because similar uniform on there. And then there's the 67 Topps. Rose was a switch hitter, so you can see the righty-lefty stances here, and there's a nice side-by-side comparison of that. And these are the things you can capture. And then when 69 comes around, there you have a uniform change in the Reds. So they went from the pinstripes over to this uniform. Now, I know that Topps had some disputes going on at the time with the photography, so that 68 may not have been taken in 67. It might have been taken before, and the 69 might not have been taken in 68. But you can still see at some point in that time the uniforms changed on the Reds. I really like those white pinstriped hats they wore with the Reds emblem. Just beautiful cards, though. But Pete Rose, you know, a lot of batting shots in his cards. And here's his second headshot since the 64 Topps was taken in the 70 Topps, and you get to see that great look of determination in his eyes. I really like that card. And then you got the 71 Topps, another batting stance there. There's your 72 Topps. This one I got. This is probably one of the first 15 cards or so I bought. And then you can see when Topps really got into the action shots in 73. Here's a Rose in action shot there, looking like he fouled off a pitch. And then you see another action shot in 74. So this is what happens when you get these long runs of players. You can really capture the different things, you know, the different images over the years, and just, you know, where Topps' mindset was in their designs and photography. There's a 75. Then we get another big headshot here in 76. And you can really start to see, like, the look of Pete Rose changing, too. There's, like, hairstyle and things like that. And then here he's got, you can see the long hair coming into play more so in 77. Then you can really see it in 78. His ears are almost covered up by his hair there. And then I always like this Burger King card because it depicts him on the Phillies, which is where he played that year. And then you got the regular Topps issue on the Reds right next to it. That captures Pete Rose's, you know, swing, follow through. He had that real squatted over stance. And they don't really have a card that captures that, at least in these Topps issues, real well. But you can see the swing there at least. And there he is, casually hanging on the dugout. Looks like maybe on the rail there, watching, talking at the same time, it looks like. And then you go to 81 Topps. And you can really see here his hair is long. You can't even see his ears. Nice shot of him in the field. You can see the uniform changes as well over the years, just in how they went to, you know, from the button-down style. You have the 78 Topps, where it's more the shirt style with the V-neck. So that changed as uniforms changed in the 70s. And when you have, like I said, such a long run with a player like this, you can see all these differences. Nice follow through on his batting shot. Always like this Expos card, just because it's different. Didn't play for the Expos very long. And then you got him here as a player manager. The year he broke the record on September 11th, 1985. He broke Ty Cobb's all-time hits record. And then a really nice 86 Topps. And then the 87 Topps Tiffany, which was his last player card. He had manager cards after that, but this was his last player card. So, show that one again. And then what's really cool here, too, is what I like to do with my cards sometimes is you can just get different images of the player. Like, again, some people don't really like the portrait shots, but if you take these portrait shots, take a few of them out of here. We'll take the 79 and then the 85. Move these out of the way. So if you take these kinds of shots, so you got the 64 right here, and then you can see them again in the 70, and then the 79, and I'll show these a little better in a second. I do my videos live, so So you can see these 4 different ones here, and you can just really capture the different images of Rose over the year. You know, young, rookie coming up, got his rookie cup card, and then in 70 you can see him. And then here he is on the Phillies, you know, the aging star that came into the Phillies team in 1980 or 1979, which was a team that was really on the cusp of being a champion. And in 1980, he took him over the top and made him a champion. And then here he is when his career is starting to hit its sunset as a player manager here. And you can just kind of really see the difference, the aging over the years, just how the game has changed from the jerseys and things like that. And I think that's really cool. And that's one of the things that you can really capture from these types of player profiles that I enjoy. And this is just where I appreciate every card. I like the portraits, I mean, they all have a fit. These are works of art that, you know, that's really how I like to collect and get displays together. And I really love to put like a row on my wall of Pete Rose cards. I have a row that holds 10 cards in one of my cases, and I put 10 Pete Rose cards in there over the years. Some headshots, some portraits. You can do some different posed batting shots. It's a lot of fun to really coordinate and put your cards in some type of display piece rather than just, for me, having them sit in a drawer or something like that. I really enjoy these cards. I really, you know, consume the memories, the history, the nostalgia, and it's just really something that is a big part of my collecting. So with that, I just wanted to show the Pete Rose today, and I really appreciate everybody's time, and you have a great weekend.